Time is not experienced uniformly. The difference is not emotional or motivational, it is structure. How time feels depends on whether effort persists after it is applied or disappears the moment it stops. For most people, time feels demanding and adversarial. Each day begins with an obligation to produce and ends with the awareness that tomorrow resets the ledger. This is not a failure of discipline, it is a consequence of operating inside systems that do not retain individual effort. When work leaves no trace, time becomes something that must be continuously repaid. In such conditions, time feels linear and exhausting. Progress must be constantly renewed or it collapses. Yesterday's work provides no leverage over today. The result is a persistent sense of urgency, even in routine. Without ownership, effort has no memory. It expires. The clock does not measure progress, it measures consumption. Ownership changes this relationship by altering how effort interacts with time. When work is embedded into something you own, an asset, a system, or an intellectual structure, it continues to exert influence after the initial effort has ended. The past remains active. Time no longer erases contribution, it extends it. This is why ownership introduces patience into decision making. The future does not feel entirely disconnected from the past because prior effort still participates in present outcomes. This shift produces a subtle but decisive change in lived experience. Those without ownership experience time as pressure. Attention is fragmented by deadliness and maintenance. Each unit of time must be filled to avoid loss. Those with ownership experience time as continuity. Their work unfolds across longer horizons and decisions are evaluated not for immediate relief but for long term coherence. Time becomes something to design around rather than something to endure. Valderium treats this change in temporal experience as foundational. It begins with the premise that freedom does not emerge from working faster, but from ensuring that work endures. Effort is gradually redirected away from activities that consume time and toward structures that preserve it. Progress is measured not by intensity but by persistence, by how long effort continues to produce value without renewed input. This is why ownership reduces anxiety without eliminating uncertainty. The future remains unpredictable, but it is no longer an anchor. Past effort creates a buffer. Optionality expands because time is no longer consumed entirely by maintenance. Instead of starting from zero each day, the individual builds from an accumulated base. Time begins to feel directional rather than scarce. The most misunderstood aspect of ownership is that it does not remove effort, it transforms it. Early stages often feel slower and less rewarding because effort is invested without immediate confirmation. But once structures are established, the dynamic reverses. Time begins to carry effort forward rather than erase it. Momentum replaces urgency. Patience replaces pressure. In the end, ownership changes how time feels because it changes what time does. For those who trade time for tomorrow, outcomes, time is a constant to be managed. For those who embed effort into what they own, time becomes a collaborator. It compounds, it remembers, and it extends intention beyond presence. When effort no longer disappears in your absence, life stops feeling like a race against the clock and begins to feel like a process unfolding with direction and depth.